General Hospital spoilers tease that the love Drew feels for Willow is truly exploding, an intense and uncontrollable emotional force that is engulfing every aspect of his life. From grand public gestures like gifting flowers and expensive jewelry to intensely private moments, Drew continuously expresses a near-obsessive adoration for Willow. Every decision, every action he takes seems to revolve around pleasing and protecting her, to the point where those around them are beginning to sense something abnormal in the relationship. Drew doesn't just love Willow, he seems to possess her, making her the center of his universe with a fervor that even his closest friends find alarming. This intensity permeates even the smallest details of daily life. Drew has renovated their entire home to suit Willow's preferences, from the color of the walls and furniture down to the specific fresh flowers placed in each room. He tracks her dietary habits, has hired a personal chef to cook her favorite meals, and even bought an entire herbal tea factory when he learned she loved a rare blend. Every anniversary, big or small, is marked by lavish gifts and grand gestures, from hiring a full symphony orchestra to play outside their bedroom window on her birthday morning, to naming a newly discovered star after her. But a new twist in the story reveals that behind these extravagant efforts lies something much darker, as people close to Drew begin noticing disturbing changes in his behavior. He has grown increasingly controlling and even aggressive toward anyone who approaches Willow or questions their relationship. Even his closest friends have been pushed away after expressing concern. Elizabeth, who has known Drew for years, tried to speak with him about his personality shift, only to be met with cold hostility. Sam, Drew's ex-wife and the mother of his daughter, has been banned from visiting his and Willow's home after she questioned why Scout sees her father less often. These behaviors are completely out of character for the Drew everyone used to know, the warm, fair, and attentive man. Even at Aurora Media, where Drew was once known for his open and just leadership style, he has become authoritarian and unpredictable. Staff have started whispering about his sudden outbursts, his dismissal of anyone who dares to disagree, and the mysterious projects known only to a select few. One particularly concerning development is Drew's establishment of a new research department called Project Dawnlight. An eerie name that evokes memories of Dawn of Day, the cult once led by Shiloh, of which Willow was a member. A new storyline is emerging, focusing on Willow's alarming transformation, something that has not gone unnoticed by her biological mother, Nina. Willow, once strong-willed, independent, and principled, has become a shadow of her former self. She no longer expresses personal opinions, always looking to Drew before answering even simple questions about her daily routine. She abruptly quit her hospital job without explanation, cut off most of her friendships, and even changed her style and makeup to match Drew's preferences. What worries Nina most is Willow's behavior with her children. Once a devoted mother who prioritized their needs, Willow now appears distant and disengaged, leaving all decisions about Wiley and Amelia to Drew. Nina tried to talk to her during a rare lunch that Drew allowed them to have, but every question Nina asked was met with robotic responses. Drew knows what's best for me, Drew is protecting us, Drew sacrifices so much for our happiness. The way Willow repeats Drew's name in every sentence and seems unable to form a thought without referencing him frightens Nina. It's eerily similar to how cult members speak of their leaders. Nina's concern deepens as she notices troubling physical symptoms in Willow, moments of distraction, forgetfulness mid-conversation, and especially the small bruises on her arms that Willow quickly covers up and dismisses as falls. Willow also appears perpetually exhausted, with dark circles under her eyes that makeup can't conceal, and she has lost a noticeable amount of weight, despite Drew's claims that he's ensuring she eats properly. But the story takes a shocking turn when Nina uncovers a new secret, the possibility that Willow is being drugged by Drew. During a casual visit to their home, Nina discovers a set of prescription medications in Willow's cabinet, drugs she doesn't remember Willow ever needing. A quick check with pharmacist Terry Randolph at General Hospital reveals that these medications can impair judgment and cognition, typically prescribed for severe psychiatric conditions. But Willow has never been diagnosed with any such condition. Even more disturbing, Nina learns that the prescriptions were written by a psychiatrist she's never heard of, who is connected to one of Aurora Media's subsidiaries, Drew's company. Could Drew be secretly drugging Willow to control her? And if so, what is his true purpose? Now, Nina faces a painful question. How can she save her daughter from a man Willow believes she loves, but who may be destroying her? Determined to uncover the truth, Nina begins a secret investigation. Careful not to alert Drew. She enlists the help of Spinelli, whose computer skills can help her access information about the mysterious doctor and Aurora's subsidiary. She also reaches out to Alexis Davis, hoping the former attorney can offer legal guidance. And in a bold move, she contacts Dr. Kevin Collins, a respected psychiatrist in Port Charles, to learn more about the drugs and their potential psychological effects on Willow. Nina's investigation begins to uncover a disturbing and complex web. Through Spinelli, she learns that the Aurora subsidiary the psychiatrist is linked to isn't just a medical research facility. It was founded only months ago, generously funded by Drew, and seems to focus on advanced psychological treatment methods, a vague term that could mean anything from traditional therapy to unapproved experimental techniques. Although Alexis is hesitant to interfere in a marriage, she provides Nina with information on legal actions she could take if she can prove Willow is being drugged and manipulated. And Kevin, after reviewing the drug list, confirms Nina's worst fears, when combined in a certain way. These drugs can induce a mental state similar to the extreme dependency and suggestibility found in cult victims. All evidence seems to point to one terrifying conclusion. Drew isn't just manipulating Willow, he's actively brainwashing her using a mix of medication, psychological tactics, and possibly even more advanced techniques yet to be uncovered. But what is his endgame? Is it simply obsessive love and possession, or is there a larger scheme unfolding? What is the true purpose of Project Dawnlight? Why is Drew so interested in gaining full control over Willow's children? As Nina digs deeper, she begins to suspect a connection between Drew's current behavior and his past with Shiloh in Afghanistan. Both men endured significant trauma, both were involved in secret military operations, and both appear obsessed with Willow, though in different ways. Could Drew be carrying out a plan Shiloh started long ago? Or, even more disturbingly, could Drew no longer truly be Drew, but somehow Shiloh, using science or other means to take over Drew's consciousness? Nina knows she's treading dangerous ground. Drew isn't just a powerful man with vast resources, he now has near total control over Willow's daily life. If he discovers her investigation, the consequences could be dire, not just for Nina, but for Willow and her children. But Nina also knows she can't stand by and watch her daughter be manipulated and potentially harmed. With every passing day, Willow seems to sink deeper into Drew's control, and time is running out. In desperation, Nina turns to the last person she ever expected to seek help from. Carly Spencer, her longtime enemy and Willow's mother-in-law. Despite their tense history, Nina knows Carly also loves Willow in her own way and would do anything to protect Wiley and Amelia. If anyone in Port Charles has the resources, determination, and ruthlessness needed to confront Drew, it's Carly. Can these two women put aside their differences long enough to save Willow? And if they can, will they be able to stop Drew before he completes whatever terrifying plan he has for Willow and her family? As events continue to unfold, one thing is clear. The love Drew is showing Willow is not love at all. It is a distorted and dangerous version of love, one designed not to nurture and support, but to control and possess. And if Nina can't find a way to rescue Willow soon, there may be nothing left of the woman she once knew to save. Drew has inherited Shiloh's brainwashing technology, a dark secret gradually coming to light as his increasingly strange behavior becomes undeniable. In the final months before his death, Shiloh secretly transferred all of his knowledge, research materials, and even incomplete methods of mind control techniques developed at dawn of day to Drew. This process took place while Drew was still suffering from memory loss, creating a layer of subconscious memories that even he wasn't fully aware of until recently. This research extended far beyond simple psychological techniques, incorporating the use of special drugs, sound frequencies, and even advanced hypnosis methods designed to break a victim's independent thinking and instill extreme dependence on the controller. But the new story is not just about technology, it's about obsession. Drew has not only inherited the technology, but also Shiloh's obsession with Willow. Through secret documents and recordings, Drew uncovered the depth of Shiloh's obsession with Willow, whom he considered his most perfect creation, the centerpiece of his entire plan to expand Dawn of Day. These records ignited in Drew a similar but far more intense obsession, now reinforced by the technology and knowledge he possesses. Drew doesn't merely want to possess Willow like Shiloh once did. He wants to transform her into a perfect extension of his will and vision, an instrument with no independent consciousness, capable of executing complex tasks under his direction. One of the new, shocking developments revolves around Willow's mind. Drew's brainwashing techniques have begun to produce unforeseen effects. Willow hasn't just become completely obedient and dependent on Drew, she's started developing a new kind of ability, the power to sense and connect with former members of Dawn of Day. In rare moments when Drew isn't around, Willow has begun experiencing almost psychic glimpses into the emotions and thoughts of former cult members, especially those who underwent the deepest enlightenment rituals. This is entirely outside Drew's control and introduces an unpredictable variable into his mind control equation. During these connections with former members, Willow appears to momentarily break free of Drew's control, creating brief gaps in her brainwashed mind where her real memories and emotions can flicker through. Willow is undergoing a quiet transformation, as her brain, despite being reprogrammed, is starting to develop natural defense mechanisms, though still largely under Drew's influence. In her weakest moments, often around midnight after waking from nightmares, Willow has started documenting fragments of her memories and thoughts. She hides the small notes in places Drew would never think to look, sewn into the lining of old clothes she knows he would never ask her to wear, tucked inside books she once loved but Drew now deems unsuitable for her. These scattered memories, though fragmented and incomplete, are slowly forming a mental safety net, something Drew is unaware of, but which could become the greatest threat to his entire plan. Drew plans to use Willow as a key asset in a scheme that goes far beyond personal control or even custody over her children. Using the research inherited from Shiloh, and his own enhancements, Drew is preparing to use Willow as a conduit for a far more expansive mind control system. Her new ability to connect with former Dawn of Day members, initially a surprise, has now become central to his strategy. Drew believes that through Willow, he can establish a wide-reaching mind control network, connecting and manipulating not just former cult members, but others in Port Charles he has targeted, people of power, influence, and wealth. The Quartermain family is his first testing ground. Drew has begun using Willow's presence to subtly influence other members. Through seemingly harmless interactions, a cup of tea Willow makes for Monica every evening, a specific perfume she sprays when Ned and Olivia are nearby, even lullabies she sings to Wiley and Amelia, Drew is carefully planting psychological anchors that can be triggered later when the next phase of his plan begins. The ultimate goal isn't just control of the Quartermain fortune or their political sway in the city, it's the creation of a new Dawn of Day, more advanced, more powerful, a network of people under control without even realizing it, all unknowingly serving Drew's vision. However, Drew remains unaware that his plan is facing two significant threats: the development of Willow's natural mental defenses, and Nina's increasingly thorough investigation. As Nina digs deeper and Willow continues to piece together her memories, the clock is ticking toward the moment Drew's entire scheme could unravel. And if that happens, it won't just be Drew who faces consequences. Port Charles itself will be forced to confront the reality that its most dangerous enemy isn't a masked criminal or a mafia kingpin, but a man they trusted, welcomed into their community, a man quietly building a mind control empire right under their noses, with Willow as the cornerstone of the entire operation. Nina is taking on the task of rescuing Willow, a decision driven not only by maternal instinct but also by a deep sense of guilt over the lost years of her daughter's life. With each new sign of Drew's manipulations that she uncovers, Nina becomes more determined to save Willow, no matter the risks to herself. She has begun to build a secret support network, including not only obvious allies like Sunny and Phyllis, but also unexpected people like Carly and Jason, people who, despite their tense history with Nina, share a deep concern for the safety of Willow and their grandchildren. Nina has turned the Crimson office into an unofficial command center, where her team meets under the guise of editorial meetings to exchange information and plan the increasingly complex rescue mission. Nina's journey begins with the smallest signs, subtle changes in Willow's speech and demeanor, her absence from important family events, and especially the way she avoids eye contact with anyone other than Drew. As a mother, even though she has only just begun to build a relationship with her adult daughter, Nina senses that something deep and fundamental has changed in Willow. Not the natural change that comes from growing up or even from stress, but an almost primal change, as if Willow's true soul is slowly disappearing. Every attempt by Nina to reach Willow is met with resistance from Drew, who hovers like a shadow, controlling every conversation and limiting the amount of time they can spend together. Drew has carefully orchestrated every interaction to ensure that Nina can never speak to Willow alone, always having a plausible excuse to interrupt or end their meetings early. But Nina, with the tenacity of a mother trying to save her child, began to find cracks in Drew's control system, brief moments when he was distracted or forced into conversations with others. In those rare moments, Nina tried to establish a connection with Willow in subtle ways, a meaningful glance, a reminder of a shared memory, a question phrased in a way that forced Willow to think independently rather than repeat programmed answers. Each time, Nina searched for the smallest sign of sanity in Willow's eyes. A spark of the girl she knew was still there somewhere. One of her new obsessions with change itself was about to explode when Nina discovered that Drew was not only brainwashing Willow, but was also preparing to extend his influence to others in Port Charles. Through her sources at Aurora Media, Nina has discovered that the Dawnlight project is actually an experimental program to develop mind control techniques that can be deployed through a variety of means, from specially designed smart home apps and social media content to even everyday consumer products like perfume and drinks. Drew has begun to establish a small network of mind control subjects similar to Willow, each with their own role in his master plan. This discovery has made Nina's mission more urgent than ever, not only about saving Willow, but also about stopping a plot that could affect all of Port Charles. Nina has begun to closely monitor the activities of the Dawnlight project, discovering disturbing patterns in the way Drew deploys his experiments. He started with vulnerable subjects, people who had been members of Dawn of Day, people with histories of psychological trauma, and people going through personal crises that made them vulnerable, through Aurora-sponsored support groups and personal development workshops. Drew collected data on the effectiveness of his brainwashing techniques on various subjects, refining his methods with each success and failure. Particularly disturbing was the fact that Drew had begun to focus on members of the Quartermain family, to whom he had regular access through his connections. Nina discovered that Monica, to whom Drew was particularly close, had begun to exhibit signs of personality changes similar to Willow's, an increasing dependence on Drew to make decisions, a surprising willingness to change her long-held views and positions, and a gradual alienation from those who had been close to her. Ned and Olivia have also begun to show subtle changes in their behavior, especially regarding business decisions regarding ELQ and other Quartermain assets, decisions that increasingly favor Drew and Aurora. This has led Nina to realize that Drew's plan is not just about personal power or even control over Willow, but about building an empire sustained not by money or traditional power, but by his ability to control the minds and actions of influential people in Port Charles. Starting with the Quartermains and expanding outward, Drew is gradually creating a network of human puppets, all serving his vision, unaware that their wills are no longer their own. The crazy new story is proving to be a new change that Willow and Drew are ready to take on new dark turns as Drew begins to see a hidden resistance in Willow, though still largely under his control. Willow began to have brief moments of lucidity, moments when she looked at Drew with disbelief instead of adoration. Moments when she hugged Wiley and Amelia with genuine love instead of the mechanical indifference Drew had programmed her to have. To counter this, Drew increased her medication and her tuning sessions, intense brainwashing sessions held in a locked room in the basement of their house. A space that even the most loyal servants were not allowed to enter. Each time Willow emerged from these tuning sessions, she was more distant from the world around her. With vacant eyes and a mechanical smile that never reached her eyes. But deep inside, the rest of Willow was actually growing stronger, silently resisting Drew's increasingly extreme control. Waiting for the opportunity to break the psychological shackles that bound her. Drew, in his growing obsession, began recording these tuning sessions. Creating a detailed video collection of his techniques and Willow's reactions. He set up a secret laboratory in the basement, where he not only tuned Willow, but also analyzed data from all the other subjects in the Dawnlight project. The laboratory was filled with advanced medical equipment, monitors displaying brainwave patterns and brain chemistry, and shelves of vials labeled with codes instead of actual names. On one wall was an intricate map of Port Charles, with points marking current and potential subjects, all connected by different colored lines to indicate relationships and levels of progress in the brainwashing process. Most terrifying was a detailed timeline on a large whiteboard, outlining the stages of Drew's plan. Stage 1, completed, establish complete control over Willow. Phase 2, in progress, expanding influence to the Quartermaines and other powerful families. Phase 3, controlling major media and law enforcement agencies. And Phase 4, simply labeled Dawn of a New Day, with a specific date marked on the calendar just weeks away. This is proving to be one of the new storylines that warrants a new shift in Nina's strategy as she realizes that she can no longer wait to gather enough evidence or formulate a perfect plan. With each passing day, Willow is becoming more distant, and her grandchildren, especially Wiley, who has begun to show signs of anxiety and withdrawal, are suffering from the increasingly tense and dysfunctional environment of the Drew household. Nina decides on a daring plan. She will find a way to approach Willow directly when Drew is not around, hoping to trigger one of her daughter's moments of clarity and help her remember who she really is. Nina's plan required precise coordination and support from multiple parties. She convinced Spinelli to not only monitor Drew's schedule but also hack into the house's security system, giving her temporary access to the cameras and locks. Alexis, a former attorney, had the necessary legal documents, a search warrant and an emergency mental health evaluation, prepared to use if needed. And most importantly, Nina had Kevin Collins not only provide her with information on how to approach a brainwashed person but also be prepared to intervene medically if Willow's condition required immediate assistance. With Spinelli's assistance, Nina identified the perfect window of opportunity, an afternoon when Drew had an important meeting in Aurora that he couldn't miss or reschedule. During that time, Nina would visit Willow under the guise of a normal visit from her grandmother. But instead of a casual conversation, Nina will bring a powerful trigger, a diary from Willow's childhood that she recently found in Harmony's personal belongings. This diary contains Willow's most heartfelt thoughts, dreams, and fears before she was drawn into Dawn of Day, a window into her true soul that no amount of brainwashing can completely erase. Along with the diary, Nina also brings a series of photos, important moments from Willow's life that Drew cannot control or change. Willow holding Wiley on the day she officially adopted him. Willow and Michael on their wedding day, Willow holding Amelia for the first time after giving birth. And especially a rare photo of Willow and Nina together after they discovered their mother-daughter relationship, a moment of pure happiness that no amount of programming can completely erase. The day of the action finally arrives. Nina has prepared thoroughly, replaying the plan in her head hundreds of times. She had planned for every possible scenario, from Drew's sudden change of schedule to Willow's complete lack of response to the triggers. She had Carly on standby, ready to create a distraction if Drew returned earlier than expected, and Jason nearby, ready to intervene if things got dangerous. They were all ready for a last-ditch effort to free Willow from Drew's control. As Nina drove to Drew and Willow's house, she couldn't help but think about all that was at stake, not just the safety and well-being of Willow and her grandchildren, but the safety of all of Port Charles if Drew succeeded in expanding his mind control network. The truth about Drew, the man everyone had trusted. The man everyone had considered a good person, would shake the city to its core. And if Nina fails, if she fails to save Willow, she will have to live with the pain of losing her daughter a second time, not this time to circumstances beyond her control, but because she failed to protect Willow from the threat she saw coming. As Nina approaches the house, she can feel her heart beat faster. This isn't just a rescue mission, it's an act of motherly love, a love Nina hasn't been allowed to show for nearly 30 years. A love she's now trying to use to save Willow from the darkness that's engulfing her life.